So I gotta say, Rumble was an absolute blast. I had a great time with it. But what about it really drew you to the project?
I thought, I mean, I love a good underdog story. I really do. And I just thought, I don't know, I thought it was really cool that it's really sweet and I sort of loved how it had this like masculine energy too, like the wrestling of it all. And I just thought it would be a super fun animation film to be involved with.
So, and then before this, I mean, this wasn't your first dive into animation with BoJack before this, but what was it like exploring this world from a feature length standpoint in comparison to TV?
It was definitely, yeah, a longer process. BoJack was just, a one session. So this was over a course of like a few years, I want to say, and it was really cool to see the sort of evolution of the animation, to see them like sketching it and storyboarding it, and then lighting it, which I didn't realize they did in animation. And then like animate, like it was just cool to be a part of the process and get to like record a little bit and then animate and then record and animate. I thought that was, yeah, I learned a lot.
So, did you find that as the animation further developed, it helped with your performance, or did you find that it was the script was very helpful with that?
I think the script was helpful. It felt pretty clear what who Winnie was and what the dynamics were, and yeah, but it was cool to see a little animated Winnie. That was really fun to see like how they brought her to life. I think she's so cute.
Now, did you dive into the source material at all prior to joining or to starting the work on it, or did you sort of work with the script and the directors to sort of find Winnie?
Yeah, I definitely worked closely with the director, Hamish. And we would kind of like on the day, like in records, especially at the beginning, would yeah, play around and kind of try and find a groove for what, yeah, Winnie's voice would be.
What would you say were some of the biggest creative challenges for you really finding the heart of Winnie?
I think in general, animation acting is different from on-screen acting. I think like being expressive with just your voice, I'm so used to like using my face to convey something. So it was cool to get to be more animated and expressive with my voice rather than just trying to seem like realistic or grounded or something. It was fun to just get to like push it and see what my voice does.
That's awesome. Did the animators work with you at all to sort of really capture your essence with Winnie's animations, or did they sort of work separately from you?
I know that they recorded, there was always a camera in front of me and when I was recording. So I feel like the animators were watching kind of like what I was doing when I was saying the lines, like in my face and my body, I guess. So I do feel like it was a bit of a collaboration in that sense. But yeah, not really sure.
So the as you mentioned before, I mean, the wrestling aspect of this movie is one of its most interesting elements. And so, were you much of a wrestling fan prior to signing on, or did you sort of start looking into it once you joined the project?
Well, I was introduced to wrestling by Mr. John Cena. And so that was that's what got me into it. I think, yeah, I had a totally different conception of what wrestling was before watching it for the first time and speaking to him about it. And yeah, so I think in quarantine, actually, I was watching quite a bit of wrestling, especially John Cena's matches. Gotta represent. But yeah, I'm not up to date on everything, but definitely started to understand the world of wrestling a bit more.
What do you think is one of the most interesting things about that world that really translates to so many different genres?
About the wrestling world.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like I remember talking to John about it, and he was like, "It's Shakespeare. It's improv. It's Shakespeare. It's like the tragedy, the all of it, the clown, the performance. Like I think the theatrics of it is really cool and interesting, and there's a lot that you can do with that. And I think these like strong personas and characters, which we have in the movie, it really lends animated characters.
So you mentioned how this has been in the works for a few years. And so I'm curious, did you ever get the opportunity to work with anybody else in the recording booth, any of your co-stars prior to, having to work in isolation?
Yeah, I got lucky. I got to have one session with Will Arnett, I'm such a huge fan of, and he's such an incredible voice actor and actor in general, and he's just amazing. So that was really, really cool, and a big trip for me as a huge Arrested Development fan. So and I learned a lot, and it was from him, and it was just really cool to like get to fully do a scene together, like to actually get to talk to another person and improvise and feel like, yeah, we were really doing a scene.
Do you remember which scene it was that you got to record with him?
I don't remember exactly which one, but I think it was, I don't know. I feel like it started with like, we're down on our luck, and then I have to like pep talk him. I can't remember which one, but maybe when I watch the movie again, I'll remember.
So I mean, since you mentioned the pep talk, there's so many amazing coach speeches from over the years in sports and even in wrestling that one can pull from for inspiration. Did you have any key inspirations when looking back for coach pep talks, even if it was in film?
I'm not, actually the producers showed me, I forget who it was, but a Slim Jims commercial, where in one of the pep talks where I'm being like super like, let's go, like very aggressive, they showed me this Slim Jims commercial. So that was they would just like do that. And it was kind of crazy because I'm like, I am still a girl. I don't know if my voice could do that, but that was a big inspiration for those really unhinged coach speeches.
So now that you've sort of further dipped your toes in the animation world with this and BoJack, do you find yourself more interested in coming back to it in the future?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely. I love watching animation like so much. So I think it's really cool to get to be a part of it in that way. Yeah.
Is there any sort of subgenre you would like to explore next in the animation world? Because I mean, there's adult animation, there's sci-fi, there's so many different ways you could go. Is there any one area you'd like to go next with it?
Yeah, I'd love to do, I mean, yeah, my favorite stuff is, I think like, yeah, more comedy stuff would be fun to do. And then also maybe, yeah, just like flat out kids, be silly, do fun voices. That could be fun too. But I think, yeah, in the vein of this and BoJack, like I think funny for kids and adults would be the dream.
Okay, I can appreciate that. That's a good range to have. So, and then this one too, you go back to using the American accent that we've heard in many of your other projects. Do you find that in animation it was easier to sort of tap into that voice, or did you find there was an extra challenge in sort of bringing that voice?
I definitely was like, okay, we're really zeroed in on this aspect, which maybe on film I can be a bit more like, ooh, don't think about it, but yeah. So it just sounds right. Like I think so many times, especially with comedy, and then also like something like this where it's a lot of like pep talks and coach speeches, it just feels like that it should be in an American accent. It just sounds right. Like if I was Australian, that would just sound off. So I think it's like part of the spirit and energy of what the lines were. I think it felt like a natural, like entry into what it was. That doesn't
Sure.
make sense.
Yeah, I get what you mean. So for my
Yeah.
final question, this movie has had such a long road to finally get to release with obviously the pandemic and delays and all that. How are you feeling as it's finally now coming out to audiences?
Um, I'm excited. I mean, it's kind of feels like it doesn't, it's hard to feel it because it's all just like online, but it's cool. And I think it's sweet that I can like watch this movie with my family at Christmas. And that's, yeah, what I'm really excited for. And I hope other families can do that as well and have a good time.